Welcome to Healing Generations, a podcast creating a dialogue uplifting the importance of healing, strengthening, and supporting our communities, and that addresses the disparities and inequities in communities of color. Healing Generations is brought to you by the Healing Generations Institute, a collaborative initiative of the National Compadres Network and the Brotherhood of Elders. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on our new releases.
Welcome to the Healing Generations podcast. My name is Alejandro Berens Osuna, and I will be one of your co-hosts for today's episode. You are currently tuning into the youth-led portion of the Healing Generations podcast, where today we will dive deep into the healing journey and story of one of our local youth, Edgar Sandoval. From his time at Foothill High School to his work with NCN as a fellow and his future endeavors. I'm joined today with my co-host, Ariel Jimenez, who I will be passing the palabra to. Ariel?
Good morning, and Happy New Year's to everybody. Thank you, AB, for getting us started. You know, today is our first podcast for this new year, and we know that this time for us is a time of rest and a time of transition. And who better to start off the podcast with Edgar Sandoval, who is just transitioning out of high school, graduated, class of 2024. Congratulations, mm-hmm. And just happy to be in space with you. So let's go ahead and just get started. Edgar, welcome. You know how we get down, we know how we get started. So we're going to start off with a little conocimiento. Let us know who's Edgar Sandoval. What is it about you? Who do you represent? What do you want to share with us?
My name's Edgar Sandoval. I'm 19 years old. I just graduated from Foothill High School, and I'm just planning out whether I go to trade school or go to a college to continue my path. So I'm from the Bay Area. You know, I represent Eastside San Jose big time. I like to represent my family. You know, they always have my back, you know?
Awesome. Thank you. You know, I just want to reiterate the congratulations on graduating from high school. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you.
You know, you've graduated from Joven Noble itself a couple times now. I feel like you've been in every graduation that we've done since me and Chris started. So I just want to ask you, how did you first even get connected to Joven Noble? Like, how did that come up for you?
How I got connected is me and one of my friends, Isaac Diaz. We came too late to school and we got sent to the office and we got our late pass, but they sent us to Ariel where we could talk to him and then to get in the group. So at first it was just, you know, trying to feel it out, but after a while it just stuck on. It was good times.
And then you got stuck with Ariel. That's horrible.
Yes, he did. You know, it's funny. I was talking to AB earlier this morning, just kind of like talking about the day that you and Isaac walked in, because we had 2 slots left in the group, and we have a leadership group at Foothill High School. And knowing that we had 2 spots left in the group, I was meeting with the social worker, and I was like, who do you want to fulfill these roles? And both of you walk in late. And she's like, I have these 2 young men that I think will fit perfect. So that's how the introduction happened. But fast forward 2 years later, you're still with us, right? You just graduated from, I think, your 5th Joven Noble group. So let me ask you, what about that space made you want to come back? Like, why did you connect to the point that you wanted to come back as a peer leader?
Well, apart from learning new teachings or becoming a man, you know, it's just a overall great environment. You know, you get to laugh up, throw some jokes, but then get to serious conversations. And even when it's not with your boys, you meet some people that are like you, even though they might dress different than you, be a different friend group. You know, you get to know each other and you just become friends.
You know, I know we have you especially to thank for some of the youth that are now in Circle that are taking over your role of being the peer leader. Like Ryan. Ryan's a big one, where I remember he came in with you all shy, and now he's one of the youth leaders that is going to be doing the advanced Joven Noble groups at Foothill. So, you know, we always appreciate the work that you put into group. Speaking of Foothill, for those of you that don't know, Foothill is a high school in San Jose, and I swear it's like a own little bubble because it's like this perfect high school where the teachers are supportive and the students get everything they need. So I want to ask you, how was it attending a school like Foothill High School? What did you like most about it?
Well, I'll say the environment too, because it's a lot different than other high schools. Like, at first I thought it was going to be like, there's going to be a bunch of fights, you know, a lot of problems there, but since I got there haven't been no fights, you know. It was all pretty easy. The teachers will help you out. They wouldn't like fast forward everything. They try to help you get your credits.
Is there one person at that high school that you connected with that you want to lift up? Like whether it's a teacher, a counselor, or anybody?
I'll say the principal, because she'll be pretty understanding, you know. She like, obviously she got her job to do, but then like she'll still sit down and talk to you, make sure you're doing good. So I'll say principal.
So I agree with you in terms of the principal. I think the principal is one of those people that is understanding, knows how to support the young folks, and also knows how to get her job done, right? So I think she knows the rules, but also leads with compassion and leads with heart. So when I think of Ms. Ramirez, that's what I think of. So I appreciate you lifting her up. You know, we also got an opportunity over the summer to be able to bring you on as a fellow, as an intern. And you returned to summer school, helping us lead those circles with youth. How was that experience for you? Like, how was it coming back as an employee versus a student?
You know, it was fun working. We got the work done. And when we went to Foothill to do the circles, you know, I got to see some of my boys, you know, but we still had to work. So we got to laugh and still get business done. So it was a great environment being at the school and at the office, working with y'all. It was pretty fun too.
You know, one of my favorite memories from that summer has to be our summer graduation with you and Arlen and Dom. Because, I mean, there's a photo that I will always look back on that reminds me of that summer. And it was the one of you, and I think it was Dom, walking Eric down the bridge during our graduation. And just the smile on your guys' faces. It's got to be one of my favorite memories by far. So I want to ask you, is there a memory in your head that you're like, damn, that's what makes me miss that summer?
That moment was most likely it, because, you know, they said you could hold their hands, but no one really wanted to do it. And then he just walks up and was like, you're not going to hold my hand? And we're like, we just went on to do it. And it was just a, you know, it was a funny moment to remember for surely in the books.
And I think that's important, right? I think us as men, sometimes we don't get those opportunities to be vulnerable, to just be ourselves. And like the act of holding hand, it's really just saying, I got you. You ain't alone in this journey. And sometimes we don't get those opportunities to be masculine and be in our feminine, because I think we carry both. But let me ask you, being in Circle, there was a lot of teachings that we shared, right? What does it mean to be a man, healthy relationships, stereotypes, all over the place. Which one was your favorite teaching that you connected to the most?
My favorite teaching will have to be the ideal mate, because, you know, at first they'll start joking around, throwing out like how they want their mate, and then, you know, just be some crazy correction, you know, like, yeah, you know, it's good, it's a dream girl, but then once we see like what we put up with those values that we want, we just, you know, we don't really uphold all of them. So it's like great to see what everybody wants to see in a woman, but what we don't have for them in the same ways.
I think the funniest part about that teaching has to be after we make the list of everything the young men want their perfect girl to look like, is when we go, okay, we're going to print this out. And then we want you to go home and get your mom to sign it for you or your sister to sign it, and just seeing their faces drop. I think this last semester was the first time we had one young man being like, okay, I'll do it. But it's because his mom only spoke Spanish. And we're like, no, don't worry about it. I love the In La Quech teaching, the ideal mate teaching, because it really shows off, you know, that we ask so much and so much of our partner, but a lot of the times we're not willing to put in that same work. So I really connect with you in the sense that that one's your favorite one. When it comes to Círculo, we preach the idea of sacredness and healing, and that healing's not just something that happens one day. It's a journey. So I want to ask you from Circle, what has it taught you about healing?
It had taught me that you gotta just take your time with healing, you know, and just try to forget whatever happened, put it in the past, know that you're in the present, and worry about the future, find a goal and just achieve it, push on for it.
Take your time with healing. I think that's important, because we sometimes want to rush it. We think that there's a destination to healing. We think that we want to get there. We think we want to be 100% healed. And one of the things that I've learned from my maestros is that, one, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. And a lot of the lessons that you're going to relearn are through that journey, not necessarily the destination. So I appreciate you sharing it in that way. You know, thinking about just staying focused on high school, is you're an alumni now. How does that feel for you? Like going through the ceremony, having your family show up, having your circle show up. I saw your boys there happy for you. How was that experience crossing the stage and getting an opportunity to speak about like who supported you, right? How was that day for you?
When I first found out that I was graduating, I didn't really feel anything. I thought it was just another day. But once we were practicing for the graduation on that day, I'm like, damn, I'm already gonna be out. And I wasn't expecting that much people because it was on the Tuesday. But when I was walking the stage, I seen it was a cool amount that pulled up. So I'm like, it was a really good moment to live, for surely to have in my mind to keep reliving it. So it was a great feeling, especially I got to write a letter from my mom. So yeah.
I remember that letter because I was one of those people in the stands for you. When you were writing that letter, like, where'd that come from? Like, what did you want to tell your mom?
Well, I'm not a great speaker, like I can't just keep speaking, write a whole essay. So it wasn't as big, but when I wrote it, I was just thinking like she always had my back, even as a little kid, if I made a mistake, I'll think about it. She's just yelling at me, but now that I'm older, she'll counsel me to do better, And now that I'm 19, she still does it. So I just shout out to my moms.
Staying on that topic, what's your mom's name and what is one teaching that she taught you?
My mom's name is Maribel, and one teaching she taught me is how to be respectful to another person. Always shake their hand when I come in, make sure I'm talking to them in a good manner.
No one's love is as unconditional as a mother's love is. I think if everyone could look through life through the eyes of a loving mother, this world would be a much better place. But going back to you graduating high school, you're entering, well, a lot of people would say real life, but I think we all know that you've gone through enough to say you're already in real life. How have you been able to apply teachings that you've learned through group, through your life experiences, through Foothill, into your real life, whether it's at home, whether it's with your friends? How have you been able to do that?
I would say, when I'm meeting new people, I wouldn't be all serious with them, I'll go up, shake their hand, try to get to know them, because at the end of the day, we might have more alike, and then it might become your new best friend or something, someone you could depend on. So yeah, I like to take a lot of the teachings home, or when I'm out in the streets, like when I go out with my boys, sometimes they'll bring their boys, which I don't know, So instead of just being like an awkward, we only talk to the people we know, I try to include them, try to see how they are, try to get to know them a little better. And also like at home, instead of just yelling at my little sisters right away for doing something bad, I try to speak to them calmly first, not try to get to that point. So I'll say the teachings helped me a lot with outside of school, streets, at home.
I want to bring your little sister into the space for a second, because the way you take care of her is, I'm assuming, the way that your mom taught you how to take care of people, because you watch out where she goes, you make sure she's taken care of, and you're really nurturing when it comes to her. What kind of world do you want to see her grow up in? Like, why do you care for her so much?
I don't want to see both my little sisters grow up the same way me and my older brother grew up. I don't want to have to do the same things or go through the same things. So I just want to make sure when they're older, they have a good house. So right now we just got a house. So they got that, get their own room, make sure they stay in school, get a good job, not get sidetracked. So I just want to live a better life at the end.
I feel like anyone that sees you with your younger sisters knows how much you love them. I mean, you literally drove them to James Lick, which is like across the street from your house. You literally drove them to James Lick so they didn't have to be in the cold, so they could meet Santa and get some presents and stuff. And I'm sure in the future, they're going to look back and remember how much their older brother loved on them and how he walked with them on their journey through life. And so when it comes to that, I want to ask you if there's anyone you want to specifically uplift that has helped you on your journey through life, through high school, in general.
Yeah, I would like to lift up my mom. Yeah, because she always pushed me, even as a little kid. So now she's still pushing me to get on the right path, do the right thing. So, and I feel like even when I'm older and move out, she'll probably still try to push me, make sure I'm doing good. So just want to shout out to my mom.
All right. So this is a little bit of a heavier question. We talked about this earlier, and we talked about this even in the group, but there's a word called sacred. And a lot of the times we get asked, when did you realize you were sacred? And a lot of us don't know how to answer that sometimes. Or sometimes we think, am I? Am I worthy of that word? So if you were getting asked, when did you yourself, Edgar Sandoval, when did you realize you were sacred?
I think I first realized I was sacred would be the middle was sophomore year. I was just doing bad. I wasn't going to school, 0 credits, just using drugs every day. But after a while, I started noticing my mom wanted me to stop doing all that. Some of my boys would be like, you get back to school, start doing things the right way. So my junior year, that's when I went back to Foothill, and I just started changing my life around from there. And I'll say it's better than it was. So yeah, I felt like I was sacred sophomore year.
I think it's easy to get off track. It's easy to take one day off of school that then turns into a week, that then turns into a month, and then you're behind the whole semester. But it's even easier to walk away and say, you know what, I'm not going to go back. I'm good. I don't got to deal with the blame. I don't got to deal with the shame. I got my own plans. What made you think you were worthy enough to go back to school and put in that work and eventually lead to what you did a couple weeks ago, graduate stage? What made you push you in that, besides your mom?
I didn't want to just be roaming the streets every day or, get into trouble. So, at first, I wouldn't show up or I'll ditch school, leave, go with my boys. But after a while, I slowly stopped doing that. And I'll say I just wanted to be in a better place later in life, Make sure I at least have a diploma to count on, get a good job.
I'm going to ask one more, and this is more for Mario. So I'm going to bring Mario into the space. I was in a meeting with Mario earlier this week, and we were there talking, and he said, when you're ready to go do bad, you have a whole list of people ready to go do bad with you. And the moment you want to go do good, there's probably no list, or maybe you got a list of like 1 or 2 boys. So thinking about your boys, what have they taught you, and who has walked with you when you want to do good?
I agree with that because, most of the time when you're with your boys, it's just about the fun, just doing whatever. But I got like 3 of my boys. They'll come for me with no matter what. If it's just a simple ride or it's just, we got to talk, just post up and talk. So just shout out to them. But yeah, I agree with you. It's mostly just friends doing bad and no one really got your back. Like if it's good things, but it's good to have those by your sides that do.
100%.
I definitely agree with you in the sense of you're going to thrive as much as the people around you are thriving. So if those people are in a good space, you're in a good space too. Thinking about people that aren't in the best place when it comes to their education or their goals in their life, who maybe was an Edgar who got off path when it came to school, what do you want to say to those people who are struggling on their educational journey at the moment?
I would say make a plan it all out, and just drive through it, push to get those plans out, even as little by little. At the end of the day, you're going to get the diploma. Just keep pushing for it, and you'll get it done. You might sidetrack, but you just got to eliminate those distractions, whether it's being on your phone too much, whether it's you ditching for your boys or smoking, it's just try to quit those distractions and just push for your goal.
I want to give you props because your educational journey wasn't easy, right? You started off at a comprehensive school. You then had to transition to a continuation school. You then had to maneuver through a global pandemic. You then had to witness the world kind of reopen and be a little bit different. And I think throughout all that journey, there was multiple opportunities for you to just walk away. But there's also obstacle after obstacle being placed in your path. So thinking about those obstacles, what is an obstacle in high school that maybe teachers ain't aware of, that maybe parents are not aware of? Because you all have a different understanding of that, right? My mom always says, "Donde tú vas, yo ya vengo." The road I'm walking through, she's already been there. But we had to remind them that that road is different for us. So for you, is there an obstacle that the adults might not be aware of that you want to just talk about?
Yeah, because they only see you at school or at home, but they don't see you when you're with your friends or getting things done, or whether it's work or whatever things, you always go through something. Whether it's like police brutality, they're just trying to mess with you, or just a bad breakup.
Hmm.
So someone always goes through stuff and no one sees it, and then they would just put it down and try to seem happy and just push on through the day. But we're at school or work
Mm.
or at home, so no one really notices what happens while we're not there.
Hmm.
A memory I always have from high school was a teacher shaming a dude for having 99 absences for that semester alone. And she basically made fun of him in front of the whole entire class until he got up, cussed the teacher out, and left. He got suspended for that. But no one wants to acknowledge the teacher not taking into account that this youth had gone through hell and back that semester. Not at school because he was taking care of his siblings and taking care of them and making sure that they were, safe in life. So I do want to acknowledge what you're saying in the sense that teachers and parents only see a quarter of what's happening. So if the educational system could really look and have empathy for the students more, I think the world would be a much better place.
Hmm.
And I think that's a very important issue. I want to ask you, it's my favorite question to ask. I don't know why Ariel explained it to you earlier, but if you had a microphone and a stage and the whole world could hear what you're talking about, what is one issue that you would like to lift up?
The issue will be the amount of children that don't have food. There's a lot of little kids that are starving, or they don't have enough food every day to get on through school just by yourself. So
Mm.
that would be my top one most likely, and the second one probably be like police brutality, because not all cops are bad, but they be on power trips, or they just try to find a reason to stop you or just to mess with you. But most, getting food to the kids.
Food to the kids. Why is that one dear to your heart? Like, why did that one come out first?
Because, growing up where I grew up, East Side San Jose, I had a lot of boys that would starve, sometimes they didn't have food, sometimes my stomach would hurt. So that's a bad feeling to have. So if there's enough food to give out to the kids, I'll say give it to them.
Hmm.
Mm.
100%. I grew up in those same neighborhoods, right? I'm a product of East Side San Jose, and I remember having to go to school sometimes hungry. And I remember the teacher wanted me to focus on that math equation on the board, not realizing that I didn't have a bed to sleep in, that I didn't have breakfast in the morning, that I might have been wearing the clothes from yesterday. And the least of my worries was that math equation because I didn't know when my next meal was. And I'm thankful for my family because I have strong, hardworking parents that did everything that they could to make sure that didn't happen again. But we know how life goes, right? And that second one, police brutality, explain a little bit more, because we have an understanding that police are supposed to serve and protect us, but that's not always the case. So why does that one come to your mind as well?
Well, because since a little kid, whether it's I'm on my bike, walking, or I'm just at a park, playing with my boys, they always pulled up, and it's not like it's just one cop. There'll be a couple of them, and they'll just try to find like, oh, you got drugs, you got guns, and then they'll be on power trips and get mad when you respond back. And I'm not saying they're all bad cops, but there's good ones out there, but they just like to do power trips, try to hassle you for the little things, or even if you don't have nothing, they're just bored and try to kill some time, especially with the youngsters.
And it depends on what part of San Jose you're at, right? Because
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you that when I was in the Rose Garden, I got treated a lot different than when I was on the East Side.
Mm.
When I had my Bellarmine outfit on, I was treated a lot different than when I had my Mount Pleasant jersey on. So I think their treatment is a lot different. If you were speaking to a cop, and we understand that a lot of the times, not only police officers, but a lot of people, they stereotype us and they judge us based on their perception. If you had a cop in front of you that had the power to change the police force, what would you tell them about who you are that you think would make them treat you better? Who's Edgar?
I'll just tell them how I grew up, basically, tell them how the cops always treated people like me, and just try to get treated like the other people from the richer side, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Not just see us by the clothes we wear, or, our haircuts, or our friend groups. Just see us as a human.
See us as a human. That's real. We ain't another number. We're not another statistic. We're a human being and we're sacred.
Yes, sir.
You said something earlier that I want to circle back to. You said about your two younger sisters. Thinking about that next generation and future generations. There's a lot that you went through that you learned from. So you, Edgar, standing here, have a lot of wisdom within you. What advice would you want to give that next generation that will make them have less baggage and more gifts as they go through life?
I'll say don't worry about the small things, just worry about the things that are in your control. Find a plan. It don't gotta be early on, but find a plan, whether it's for better to finish through college or just make a small goal for the end of the month to keep you busy. Just find a plan and push through it. Keep you from getting distracted from things. Stay out of trouble.
Thank you so much, Edgar, for everything you have said today. We really appreciate you coming on to the podcast. We're going to get you a little food right now to say a little thank you to you. I just want to ask you and Ariel if any of you guys got any closing remarks you want to say to our viewers and our listeners. Let's start with Edgar first.
I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. My closing remark is for Ariel. What would you say to the next generation?
Oh, not AB?
No, just Ariel.
I think for the next generation, I would really say build a strong circle. You mentioned it earlier that you got 3 boys that you could call for a conversation, that you could call for a ride, that you could call for whatever. I think circles are really important. So whether your circle consists of your family, your boys, coaches, I'm an athlete, so a lot of my people that I went to were my coaches, teammates, anybody. I think when we have a strong circle and we're not doing well, our circle is able to lift us up and carry us until we're able to carry ourselves. So I think for us, circles are important. AB, you don't want to answer that?
That was a question for you, sir.
I think we're good. No, but I think my closing remarks is really to you, Edgar. I've seen you from the moment you came into that office being late and the reasons why you were late, because you were taking care of your little sister, making sure that she was going to school. People don't recognize that sometimes. They just see it tardy. So I just want to give you a lot of props. Lift you up a lot because you put in that work. At the end of the day, you showed up to school. You reconnected with your teachers. You turned in those assignments. You not only took care of your little sisters and took care of the home, and you took care of yourself and you took care of business. And I just want to say I'm proud of you, man. I know what you've had to overcome in order to cross that stage. I know what you had to overcome in order to be a respectful young man in every space, even those times when you get challenged. I just want to say I'm proud of you, man. And for any of the people that might be listening, that might be disconnected from school, that might be questioning, am I sacred? Am I worthy? The answer is yes. You are sacred. You are worthy. And you're worthy of whatever you want to become. There's something that Edgar said earlier that said, focus on your goals. Whether that's graduating college or that's getting through this month. Focus on what you got to do. Stay out of trouble and put in work. And I think that's probably the best advice that I've heard in a while. And I think the best time to hear it is in January, February, or March. Because guess what? We have a new year. And whether that's the Lunar New Year, whether that's the Gregorian New Year, or the Mexican New Year, it all happens within this first month. So it's an opportunity for us to reconnect. And like Ozzy Cruz says, tomorrow is a day to undo, redo, or better do. So thank you, Edgar, for sharing that wisdom with us.
Thank you both. I just want to say something that I realize now that not many people may know. Edgar, we quote you on the daily on this podcast. Like, I can't talk about how many quotes we have said. Yeah, and then one of our youth, Edgar Sandoval, said this. So I just want to highlight one of the quotes that I feel like sticks with us the most, in the sense that one of the first graduations we did with you, you said, that you thought men didn't get flowers until they were being buried. And I feel like that's definitely why I've overemphasized the need to get flowers for every single one of the youth accomplishments at Foothill, because I want to make sure our youth know that we appreciate them when they're living and not only when they're dying. So I want to thank you for setting an example to a lot of the young men on campus of what a bright, wonderful man is supposed to look like. We appreciate you always. Ariel, I appreciate you for always doing these podcasts with me. Emilio, we appreciate you for your patience. And then always, thank you to the listeners for tuning in. You can find us at La Cultura Cura on Instagram, and National Combatants Network on Facebook, and the Healing Generations podcast on Spotify. Thank you and have a good one.
For more information about Healing Generations and the Healing Generations Institute, visit nationalcompadresnetwork.org and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our new releases.